This episode is brought to you by the Sterling Soap Company. Christmas will be here before you know it. And you know what would make a great stocking stuffer for everybody in your family? Sterling Soap. From bar soap to shave soap, beard balm to lip balm, aftershaves and lotions, Sterling Soap has something for everyone on your list. Check out their seasonal soaps that will complement the scents of your home this holiday season. And they're more than just soap. They also have a full line of coffee straight from the Sterling Roastery. Find their full line of products at sterlingsoapcompany.com.
Face off with Firefly Publishing for another drop into the fascinating world of pro hockey history with Hockey Hall of Fame True Stories 2. Following his bestseller, hockey historian and writer Eric Zwig opens the doors to the Pro Hockey Hall of Fame, revealing a treasure of untold tales, bizarre incidents, and captivating trivia that will leave the most devoted puckhead astounded. Just to name drop a few of the players he's included in this book are Wayne Gretzky, Jaromir Jagr, and Bobby Hull. Hockey Hall of Fame True Stories 2 is a must-read for pro hockey fans who crave more than just scores and statistics. Mr. Zwig invites you to uncover the true stories that have shaped the sport, ensuring that you will never look at the game of hockey the same way again. So skate on over to Amazon.com, Target, and Walmart to get your copy now.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
This is a Historically Speaking Sports Bulletin. This is Dana Augusta reporting. Super Bowl 59 is set, and let's start off by asking this question. Was this the matchup everyone wanted? Now, if you cruise through social media platforms in the lead up to Championship Sunday, even going as far back as the final week of the regular season, a vast majority of NFL fans were hoping, begging, or even pleading not to have the Eagles and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl again. And I must admit, I was one of them. Yet, here we are. In sports, we have seen this before. Less than a decade ago, the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Golden State Warriors played each other in 4 consecutive NBA Finals between 2015 and 2018. During the NBA's so-called golden era of the 1980s, the Lakers and Celtics faced off for the Larry O'Brien Trophy 3 times in the space of 4 years. Another golden era of a sport was Major League Baseball in the 1940s and 50s, when the New York Yankees and the Brooklyn Dodgers played each other in the World Series 7 times between 1941 and 1956. That's 7 times in the space of 16 seasons. We have also seen this sort of thing during the Super Bowl era of the NFL. During the decade of the 1970s, the Dallas Cowboys and the Pittsburgh Steelers faced off twice in 4 years in 2 of the best Super Bowls to be played within the first 20 years of Super Sunday. And I think this Eagles-Chiefs rivalry is this generation's version of Steelers-Cowboys. The first game came down to a late Harrison Butker field goal to give the Chiefs their 3rd Super Bowl championship in franchise history. But Super Bowl 59 is here, and even though it is a matchup that no one wants, this is what we got. And to be honest, the way that both teams are playing, with the Eagles' dominant running game and the Chiefs' penchant for dramatic games during the 2024 season and into the playoffs, we may be in for quite a ride in the Big Easy. Now, looking at it from a more historical point of view, the Chiefs and the Eagles have had some history here in New Orleans that deals with Super Bowls. The Chiefs won their first Super Bowl in franchise history in New Orleans, but it was not at the Superdome, but that ancient edifice known as Tulane Stadium, located in the uptown section of New Orleans. Of course, the game film of Super Bowl IV is world famous because of the sideline antics of Chiefs coach Hank Stram in their 23-7 win over the Minnesota Vikings. 11 years later, the Philadelphia Eagles, led by coach Dick Vermeil and quarterback Ron Jaworski, reached their first Super Bowl, yet their time in New Orleans was not as triumphant as the Chiefs, losing to the wild card Oakland Raiders 27-10 in the Superdome for Super Bowl 15. Now, both teams are back in the big game for a second time in 3 seasons, and this time in the Superdome. So, how did they get here? Well, the Philadelphia Eagles crushed the Washington Commanders 55-23 in South Philly Sunday afternoon, proving that you could still run the football in the NFL and still reach the Super Bowl. Despite what the so-called experts think, running the football in the NFL is not dead. Both Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts ran for 3 touchdowns each, including a 60-yard touchdown run by Barkley on the Eagles' first offensive play of the game. In all, the Eagles had an NFC Championship game record 7 rushing touchdowns in the 55-23 rout of their longtime rival. This was the most points scored in the NFC Championship game, but it also marked the first time since *86 that both teams from the once powerful NFC East met up in the championship game. That day, the New York Giants shut out the Washington Redskins 17-0 en route to Super Bowl 21 when the Giants dominated the John Elway Broncos 39-20 in Pasadena. Speaking of the Giants, Saquon Barkley, former Giant running back, rushed for 118 yards and 3 touchdowns in the victory, to leading the Eagles to their 5th Super Bowl appearance in franchise history. While the Eagles-Commanders game was looked upon by some people as the undercard, the main event of the afternoon was the heavyweight matchup between the Bills and the Chiefs. This was the 4th time ever that these 2 charter members of the American Football League met up with the Super Bowl on the line. In 1966, the Chiefs defeated Buffalo at Old War Memorial Stadium in Buffalo, known as the Rock Pile, to advance to the first Super Bowl, where they ultimately lost to Vince Lombardi and the Green Bay Packers at the LA Coliseum. Then, during the height of the Bills' 4 Super Bowl run in the 1990s, they beat the Joe Montana-led Kansas City Chiefs in the '93 AFC Championship game. Then finally in 2021, the KC Chiefs knocked off the Bills at Arrowhead. And not to bury the lead here, but the Chiefs are looking to win their 3rd consecutive Super Bowl, something that no team has ever accomplished. With their 32-29 win Sunday night, the Chiefs became the first team ever to advance to the Super Bowl after winning back-to-back. 3 other teams have tried for the three-peat and reached the conference championship game. The 76 Steelers, the 1990 49ers, and the 93 Cowboys, and each were beaten 1 step from the Super Bowl. Thanks to clutch defensive calls by Kansas City defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo, held off a late drive by the Bills to hold on to the 3-point win and advance to their 3rd consecutive Super Bowl. In that, the Chiefs became just the 3rd team to reach 3 straight Super Bowls, joining the Don Shula-coached Miami Dolphins of the 1970s and the aforementioned Buffalo Bills of the 1990s. Now, the Chiefs' kingdom, with Taylor Swift for sure in tow, will be descending upon New Orleans along with the Eagles faithful chanting "Fly, Eagles, Fly" with the Rocky theme playing in the background. And this will be part of a 2-week party in the city that is known to throw a party or two. It should be a great game and a great show. And I, of course, have no dog in this fight, but I will do what I do every year. Hope that the game is not a blowout, which I doubt. And I hope that the game lives up to the hype, which has already begun in earnest. A programming note. Coming up right before the Super Bowl will be part 1 of a 3-part episode celebrating the 50-year anniversary of the opening of the Louisiana Superdome here on the Historically Speaking Sports Podcast. The first episode will focus on all of the Super Bowls that were held in the Superdome and will feature 2 special guests, the host of the Football is Family podcast, Jeremy McFarland, and the co-host of the Hello Old Sports podcast, Dan Newman, as we talk about all of the Super Bowls that took place in New Orleans. Super Bowl 12, Super Bowl 15, Super Bowl 20, and so on and so forth. Talk about those games in detail. So check that out whenever it does come out, which we're trying to nail down right before Super Sunday. So check that out. And that's what's coming up right before the big game. As a reminder, this is Dana Augusta of the Historically Speaking Sports Podcast, and this was a special Super Bowl Bulletin here on the Sports History Network.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com. Hey there, sports history fan. This is Arnie Chapman, aka the Football History Dude, and I hope that you enjoyed this recent episode presented by the Sports History Network and were able to learn some good old-fashioned sports history knowledge nuggets. I started the Sports History Network back in 2020 with the mission to help podcasters find a community of like-minded sports history nerds, as well as helping aspiring podcasters to start their own shows. We have a little bit over 30 shows on the network right now covering all sorts of sports history, but as far as I'm concerned, we're just at the toothpick in the ocean moment, that can't even figure it out because there's so much more coming. We wanted to create the ultimate headquarters for sports yesteryear, starting with Podcast Network and our website, but we're going to continue to move into other mediums as well. And here's the cool part, because we want you to be part of our team. So if you're interested in starting your own podcast, or maybe being a guest on one of our shows, or who knows, maybe even writing an article for us over on the website. Seriously, all you gotta do is reach out to us on the contact page over at sportshistorynetwork.com. You can be as technologically savvy as a Neanderthal tapping on a stone trying to figure out this whole hieroglyphics thing back in the day. Again, it doesn't matter, because even if you don't understand the whole podcast space, we have a production team that can pretty much help you out with doing everything. All you gotta do, head over to sportshistorynetwork.com, head to the contact page, fill it out. That message goes right to me, and I'll reach out to you as soon as I can. But for now, dude, I'm through if you're through.